What's going on, boxing heads? This video is protected by fair use, and I'll just be using a portion of this video and adding my opinion to the Fight Hype um, interview with Chris Van Heerden. So, just want to get that out the way. This is protected by fair use. And here we go. What's going on, boxing fans? It's your boy, Cool Kind of Boxing, coming back at you with another boxing video for the boxing heads and the boxing minds. So make sure you subscribe. You know what I'm saying? Hit that like button and for more hardcore boxing content. So Chris Van Heerden, man, he says that Boots hit harder than Errol Spence Jr. And that could be true. You know what I'm saying? But there's a lot of unanswered questions that we have for Boots Ennis, even though he passed the eye test. Clearly, Boots is, his talent jumps off, the TV when you see him. He got in there, he dominated. Lipinets, he dominated, Thomas Delorme in one round. Even Terrence Crawford didn't do that. He destroyed Custio Clayton. Who seemed like he was terrified of Jaron in the ring. Let's just keep it real, man. The nigga was, even EJ, he was there. He said the man just wanted to collect the check. And it was Errol Spence Jr. was the first fighter, that's at a championship status to reach out to Boots FaceTime and tell him you get your chance, young pup. You got to wait in line like everybody else. You just got here. You can't skip no lines, even though Boots he seems to be, that fighter who has the ability to take over the division once Errol Spence Jr. leave. The nigga look cold out there, man. Fast hands, power, and he could move in the ring. And his offensive game is just like almost second to none. And that's why everybody want to see him in EJ fight. So there's a behind the scenes build up going on in boxing between who's the best. And when we see a fighter like Boots, dynamic, destroying everybody, and that's once was Terrence Crawford's reputation before we start bitching out, right? Before we start seeing him become who he is, the runner, the hater, right? So now it's Jaron Boots Ennis, so we have a second hope, somebody who adopts that pure warrior spirit and not somebody who's looking to sit on golden pond and make excuses. You know what I'm saying? So let's share our screen. Let's see what Chris is talking about here.
He didn't drop me, but when he hit me, I was like, oh boy, Ennis' power is even more than Spence's power. I'll tell you. I've been hit by Ennis to know that when Ennis touched me, he didn't drop me, but when he hit me, I was like, oh boy, Ennis' power is even more than Spence's power. I'll tell you that. Wow. Oh, I tell you that. I said that from after the fight. I said, when Ennis hit me, I got a little scared. In the sense of like, oh damn, this is different power.
Surprising to hear you say that Ennis actually has a more stinging punch than Spence. Can you describe that?
Man, look, Spence is tactically just a clean fighter, right? Spence is nice, bomb the jab across, whatever. It's 80%. It stings. It's numb power. It's like this. Ennis is wild. Like Ennis jumps in, he's ferocious, he's wild. And when he hit me, the moment he hit me, even if it was my arm, I was like, the red light went on. I was like, oh, this is why this guy knocks out everyone. I was like,
so what he's saying, what he's saying is that, Boots Ennis got more initial power than Errol Spence Jr. Errol Spence Jr. have accumulation power, but Boots Ennis got that surprising power, that'll knock you out, early. And, but we all know that, Spence hits like that throughout 12 rounds. That's why he paces himself like that. So he can keep continually, putting that equal amount of power on you throughout the fight. Now, this guy, Ennis, we don't know. We don't know if Ennis can last for 12 rounds. I believe he can, but we don't know for sure. because he haven't fought deep in the division like that. And but Chris, Van Heerden, that fight was a no contest because he set up Boots to headbutt him. He was on a path to destruction. He was getting voluminal in the ring, and that's just what happened to him. Let's continue.
He's got power. I said, the boy's got power. And the thing that went through my head immediately in that round was, he's taller than Spence. I was like, I took Spence's power. I knew Spence had I think a 90% knockout ratio when I fought him. So it was always alarming. And when Spence hit me, I respected his power, but I was like, oh wait, this is not enough power. Like, he doesn't have the power to single-handedly knock me out. I wasn't aware of that. And the fight with 8 rounds, I went down on my feet. When Ennis hit me, immediately my mind went to, oh shit, I gotta keep my hands up because this kid could knock me out with one punch.
So so what he's stating right there, Ennis got that get your mind right power. He said Spence, he respected his power, but it wasn't. He didn't fear Errol Spence Jr. power. He feared Jaron Ennis' power because initially Jaron Ennis is stronger. In the beginning, just like Keith Thurman and Roy Jones Jr. Early in fights. They always come out with their power to intimidate their opponents. Into submission. But as Keith Thurman and Roy Jones Jr. go on in the fight, they start to decline. And we're wondering about Boots. How long can he keep up that kind of, that offensive power? Because, his opponents don't last that long. That was the same with Zab Judah. Zab Judah, he would come on strong with crazy offense, and accuracy and, all the skill. But when it came around to round 5, round 6, the opponent's pushing you and pressing you, that's when you start seeing them unravel. Not saying that this would happen to Jaron Ennis because he might be able to keep up this kind of power for 12 rounds, but we just don't know yet, But initially, Chris Van Heerden said, Jaron Ennis got that snap. He's got that power on his punches. And it seems to be, where I think it's a difference. To me, it's a difference in pacing and fighting styles, different in styles. I think EJ goes out there to pace himself so he can bang you out, take you into deep waters, and bang you out. I think Boots, he's just coming in there to take your head off. He ain't playing with you. He's trying to get your ass up out of there so he can go on to the next one. And I think that's the difference, I think if EJ, wanted to put emphasis on trying to get you up out of there, that's not his style, really. He'll be acting outside himself if he came into the ring and tried to get you out of there in the first round. I mean, he could do that, if he wanted to try to do that. But I think it's discipline, and I think that's the difference between Errol Spence Jr. and Jaron Ennis is the damn discipline. One, can probably do both. I think Ennis could probably box, but that's not his discipline. His discipline, his first inclination is to go in there and bang you up out of there. And I think that's why he's going to gain a lot of fans because, he's not there for overtime. But EJ, he stays within, his system of his boxing, break you down. That's his style. And he stays, true to that. Now, if he can get you up out of that, he will. But, because of the way he fights, he stays within that, within himself.
He's got power, man. He's got power. Real power.
Based on this,
both of them got real power.
Yeah.
Ennis does make it noise, man.
You see, like he said, both of them have real power. It's just that one employs a style for the long haul, and one employs, power to just get your ass up out of there. So you can't, you can't, like he don't have to see you no more. And You know what I'm saying? So you decide on which one, you know, you would rather go with, you know what I'm saying? Because sometimes, you know, fighters got good punch resistance. And then if you put, you know what I'm saying, most of your energy, you know, you punch yourself out trying to get somebody out of there who just won't go. Now you got to use your other skills. And I think Bootsen's got other skills to deal with because he can move, he can stay away, he can pot shot. So he got other things he can go to. But you know, and he's young enough, you know what I'm saying, to have that youthful energy, you know what I'm saying, to weather those kind of storms and get a second win, second, third, fourth win, because he's just that young, you know what I'm saying? And so it's just different ways to employ the power, you know what I'm saying, that you have. Plus, you know, Errol Spence Jr. has the experience, you know what I'm saying? He's got the experience, you know what I'm saying, to pace himself. You know, he's a master pacer, you know what I'm saying? So he knows, you know what I'm saying, when to turn up. He knows when to fall back a little bit. And, you know, I think a lot of people criticize him for that, but that's just being a pro, knowing when to save something, you know what I'm saying, know when to garner attention from the judges, know when to go in, know when you're down a few licks in the fight and you need to pick up the pace. So he's a master boxer, you know, as far as a tactician in the ring.
Based on that, do you think Ennis beats Spence in a fight?
Right now, no. No, why not?
No,
Why am I saying right now? And we cannot say that Ennis is still up and coming. Ennis got almost 35 fights. He's not a baby anymore. Ennis is a real fighter now. But I think technically sounded basically the 1-2, the dynamic of the basic. Spence does so well. His defense is good. He's beautiful. Ennis has been a little bit wild. And a guy like Spence, that's such an elite level fighter, he's gonna make you pay if you wild.
So you hear what he's saying. See, Spence is the type of dude who don't get rattled by power and by, you know, because he's a powerful guy. He got good punch resistance, so he's gonna stay in frame of his fighting style, and he got good defense because he deflects shots to give shots. And you know what? This is something that Chris Van Heerden understands. You know, he tried to really troll Errol Spence Jr. and guard him into getting wild. You know, by sticking his head out and, you know, shaking his head and doing all kind of little antics to get up under Errol Spence Jr.'s skin. And Errol Spence Jr. just kept banging him out of there. You know what I'm saying? Just banging him to the body and just kept, you know, boxing. You know what I'm saying? Like you're supposed to. You ignore all that kind of shit. And he understands that EJ is, you know what I'm saying, super fundamentally sound. So, you know, Boots is, you know what I'm saying, he's still trying to, you know what I'm saying, figure out how he's, you know what I'm saying, how he's going to fight. You know, he's fighting this free, you know, wild style where he throws those wide hooks where he goes to the body from one side, he goes to the body to the other. And he knows that the style that Spence has, he's going to push through that. He's going to confront Jaron Boots Ennis head on, and you got to have a Spence kind of style to fight Jaron Boots Ennis, and you got to, you know, go blow for blow and power for power, you know, fighting for that that fighting line, you know what I'm saying, at the front. And you know what I'm saying, whoever wins that battle, you know what I'm saying. Now, you know, I'm not saying that Boots can't fight off his back foot. He can, but it's going to be difficult for him, you know what I'm saying, to employ what he did against Chris Van Heerden, to do that to Errol Spence Jr. unless he just catch EJ with something and his power is just all that. And let's say he go for it to beat EJ. You know what I'm saying? Is it possible? Yeah. Anything's possible in boxing. But the way we know defensively Errol Spence Jr. is, we know that, you know what I'm saying, the dude has great defense. And if he opens up, if Jaron Boots Ennis open up like that, he's going to get broke down to the body. You know what I'm saying? So it'll be a battle of who's more durable, you know. And I think if, you know, Jaron Boots Ennis, if he spin himself trying to knock out EJ, I think that's a big no-no. You know what I'm saying? And even his daddy said you can't stand in front of EJ. You just can't do it. He was saying that you got to use your angles on EJ, and that's something that Jaron Boots in his got. That's something that he's going to have to employ, and he can't be the big bad bully when he's in there against Errol Spence Jr. And who knows if his ego gets the best of him once he get into that ring, because we know Jaron Boots has got a big ego, you know what I'm saying, as far as his fighting prowess. He think he can do it all, and he can, and he's very versatile. So the moment of the fight will be upon him too. EJ already been there, so he don't have those kind of pressures to be a star, or he don't have those pressures to shine in this moment against, you know, a unified champion. So he, you know, he'll have all that on him, and you know what I'm saying. So you know, I don't think that I think, you know, Jaron will have to use all his skills, you know, his back foot boxing, and you know what I'm saying, his great offensive artillery, you know what I'm saying, to be successful against EJ.
And I feel because of that and experience, Spence just fought the names, the bigger names, the better opponents. And because of that, I'm backing Spence to beat Ennis. Not knock him out though. Nah, I don't think he won't.
So you see right there, you know, what, you know, everything is, so nobody's saying that, you know, Boots is, you know, is going to go in and just dominate everybody. But we do see, you know what I'm saying, the skills. We do respect the skills of Jaron Boots Ennis. I do believe he can beat these guys if something goes wrong. You know what I'm saying? Because a boxer ain't 100% every time he goes out. You know what I'm saying? That's why you got to, these guys got to get in the ring and they got to fight two, 3 times. You know, so you can't just, anybody can just win on one night. Because they're also close in skills until they do something to separate themselves. And if, you know, EJ come in there and have an off night, you know what I'm saying, you know, he could bite the bullet. You know, if Jaron Boots Ennis come in there with an off night, you know what I'm saying, he could get beat up. It's just the way boxing goes, bro. Anything can happen in boxing. And Chris Van Heerden understands that, you know, because that was a no contest with him and Jaron Boots Ennis, and he had a headbutt, and it was a no contest. So he understands the experience and everything. Anything can happen in boxing, and he's just being, you know, objective here.
He won't knock him out. I think just Spence beats him at the moment.
And what about against Terrence Crawford? They're talking about it.
Spence is great.
You pick Spence also?
The first, you know, I got Spence again. And I'm not a fan favorite here, but again, I fought Spence. I stood in front of him. He's a big boy. He's got dangerous power. He's a natural 147 fighter. Maybe a middleweight. He's a natural middleweight. He's a big boy. Terrence is a 130 pounder, 135 pounder.
35.
Coming up. And then I stood in front of Terrence, and he's very.
And see, that's, you know, before he had picked Terrence Crawford to win. Now he's picking Spence. So he goes back and forth, and that's how a lot of boxing fans are thinking in their head, because, you know, in your mind, you know, you're thinking about the skills of both fighters. You know, if you watched all their fights, like most hardcore boxing fans, and you're thinking about what they can do in the ring. Now, that by no means that makes us an expert, but it's just what you do when you're a boxing fan. You think about, you know what I'm saying, you know, Terrence Crawford, you know what I'm saying, you think about his counterpunching ability, you think about his speed, you think about his step back, you know what I'm saying, his pull counter, you know what I'm saying, uppercut and hook, and, you know what I'm saying, his hooks from the outside, you know what I'm saying, his switching, you know what I'm saying, to his left hand stance, and it's been successful for him. So, you know what I'm saying, you wonder how that's going to work against a southpaw like Errol Spence Jr., who's a natural southpaw, and that's different. See, that's a great dynamic right there in itself. How are the styles going to work together? So that's what makes this fight so interesting, right? But we already know that Terrence Crawford, you know what I'm saying, we know his weaknesses. You know, he gets, you know, when he gets clipped, you know what I'm saying, you know, he's not used to anybody following up, you know what I'm saying, once he get clipped. And that's something that he's been able to do. Once, you know, he clips somebody, he's able to follow up. But nobody's ever been able to follow up on Terrence Crawford. And I think Terrence Crawford understands that if Errol Spence Jr. clip him, it's over for him. He's not going to be the type of fighter that's going to get intimidated or making him mad and him coming back. No, Errol Spence Jr. is going to wash you. after he clips you, and that's why Terrence Crawford is running today. You know what I'm saying? And now, Chris Van Heerden, he's going back and forth because in his mind, he's trying to, juggle each guy's experience, skills, and what they do best in the ring. And, now he's thinking about the weight size. He's looking at how Terrence Crawford is ducking and shit, you know what I'm saying? And talking about retirement and talking about his accolades and being in the Hall of Fame. That's not the sign of a fighter who's really looking forward, to the best fight of his career. That's a fighter who's looked like he's going to duck, and a fighter who's going to retire. And that's why I think this fight is probably never going to happen. But Chris Van Heerden, you can see, he's ambivalent. He's going back and forth in his mind about it.
Very small. He's very small compared to Spence. Basically, stronger, better fighter than Spence. The more athletic, the more skilled Terrence Crawford. But could Terrence Crawford handle Spence's power? Round 1, round 2, maybe yes, round 3. But when he fought Lamont Peterson, when Spence fought Lamont Peterson, a lot of people said this and that. I said, look here. I said, I fought Spence. He breaks you down. He breaks you down. Round 1, round 2, round 3. You might think you could handle his power. But you get to round 6 and your legs are gone. Because the boy just breaks you down. And that's when he fought Lamont Peterson. It showed again. They were like, yeah, but Lamont moves well. I said, believe me, Spence is going to touch that body, and he's going to stop moving. And that's what happened. And he broke him down. Now, who do I
see that? And that's that's something that a lot of good Crawford fans don't understand about boxing. You know what I'm saying? They look at the beautiful movement of fighters like Terrence Crawford, and he don't move like that anymore, by the way. Even if he did, it don't matter, bro, because Errol Spence Jr., he's coming to slow you down. That's why you go to the body, against a boxer, right? You know what I'm saying? You break him down so he stopped moving. And EJ, we saw with Eudanis Ugas, he was hitting them hips. He was tearing them damn hips up. He was targeting Ugas' hips, and they kept saying, well, Ugas, he just stood there. Well, Ugas was paralyzed. He was paralyzed from them blows that Errol Spence Jr. was hitting him with, right? And them body shots, was paralyzing him. So he couldn't move, just like Chris Van Heerden is telling you. And, when the boxers tell you something, you got to listen. You know what I'm saying? They're telling you from experience, because EJ did the same thing to him. He did the same thing to Phil LaGreco, who mentions, the same thing, that he couldn't move at a certain point in the fight because EJ hadn't towed that body up. You know what I'm saying? His body was trash. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what he's aiming for. He's aiming to slow you down, to paralyze you so he could put you up against those ropes and finish you off like he did Kell Brook. You know what I'm saying? Kell Brook didn't know what the hell was going on. If you go back and look at the Kell Brook fight, you see all those body shots. EJ be investing into that body. Like he's putting $1,000 in the bank, every pay period. You know what I'm saying? And, once you look into your bank account, around the 6th round, shit, you got $6,000, bro. And it's going to start to pay off. You know what I'm saying? It's going to start to pay off. And that's what he does. And people, starting to realize, hey, EJ is a body snatcher. And no matter what your abilities are early in the fight, you're going to be a dish rag, during the middle rounds and during the second half of the fight. You know what I'm saying? And you're gonna get paralyzed like he did Kell Brook, like he did most of his fighters, Lamont Peterson, Sean Porter, that was a little bit different because Sean Porter had put the work in to to toughen up his body. His daddy even told him, give him the body, you go to the head. And EJ, he wasn't on that. He wasn't 100% on his strengthening and conditioning. He thought he could beat Sean Porter, just on his regular strength, and that's why it was so tough for him. But we all know this stuff. Let's get back into it.
I do favor slightly Spence because he's the bigger, natural 147 pounder. But Terrence being the more athletic, skilled fighter, it could make for a good fight, but I'm still backing Spence to beat him.
Do you think he eventually breaks him down and stops him, given what you
said? That's what he will have to do. That's what he will have to do. He will have to break him down. take care of the referee stops the fight. That's what it would have to do. So I would lean toward a late round stoppage.
We're going to leave it right there. You know what I'm saying? Chris Van Heerden, you know what I'm saying? You know, really, really solid. He was a solid journeyman. You know, he fought Conor Ben, you know what I'm saying? And he, you know what I'm saying, kind of like wondered if Conor Ben had juiced on him, you know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure he probably did, because he talked about how the power was different for Conor Ben, you know what I'm saying? It was stronger than Jaron Boots Ennis, right? And he knew it was just something different about Conor's Ben ability, you know what I'm saying, to hurt him the way he was hurting him in the fight. And, you know, Chris Van Heerden is a real one. You know what I'm saying? He's always going to give you his honest assessment, whereas there's a lot of fighters that won't ever keep it real in boxing, like Terrence Crawford, you know what I'm saying? And, you know what I'm saying? That's why I like, you know what I'm saying, the honest fighters, you know what I'm saying, the fighters that's going to keep it 100, and they don't have a lot of pride to get in the way, you know what I'm saying? But it is what it is, you know what I'm saying? That's all I got. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Fight Hype, you know what I'm saying, with this interview with Chris Van Heerden, you know what I'm saying? And this has been Pool Counter Boxing. Make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to my channel for more hardcore boxing content. And remember what I say, my people. Law don't go around here, law dog. You savvy. See you guys in the next one, man. Peace out. This was a boxing reaction. Chris Van Heerden, the interview on Fight Hype, is protected under fair use.